we are now recording this, and we'll share it with everyone and post it on the webpage afterward, along with a full set of the chat. So if there's web pages you want to share, if there's resources you want to share, we will be posting them. It does take us a few days just because, like everyone else, we have a lot of things going on. So Tug, Ken, if you want to kind of take this over, and I'm going to mute myself unless you need me, just holler out and then I'll hop on.
Sure. Thanks, Nikki. I'm Ken Lear with West Goshen, president of the community branch. And Doug and I talked about this at a time and just wanted to stress this is a roundtable discussion. If you guys have any issues particular that you want to talk about, have questions, things that you want to see addressed, feel free to throw it out there. We have some ideas ourselves as well, but ultimately it's whatever you guys want or have questions about. Doug, anything you want to say?
Yes, Tanya Brown. Everybody knows me as Tug, which is great. I'm president-elect and look forward to hearing what everybody has to offer today. Along with Ken, obviously, we can't predict where this virus is going and if we're going to come out of this stay-at-home mode and when that's going to happen. And I'm sure you all are aware of that. So one of the things we were talking about is like, who are we following for our summer camps? You know, like, is the CDC going to make this call? Is our state going to make this call? Is your local municipality going to end up making this call on when and how you start camp and what policies and procedures you follow? I don't know, I guess we could start there if anybody has been told anything in particular in regards to what we just said, because in my position, we're just trying to, at this point, feed and educate kids. Summer's really on the back burner, which is probably not like most of you. So I think we could start there. Has anybody had any dialogue that would be valuable to share?
I was just told that by the borough manager that council will make a decision by the end of the month based on what the governor has says about the pool and about all summer camps. So I guess it's going to be based on what they hear and what direction we take. My concern is, even if the schools don't open, some of my camps are indoors, like basketball camp, wrestling camp. Are we even allowed to use the schools if they don't even open up for the rest of the season?
Exactly. That was Audrey from Camp Hill.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Anybody else? I see, this is where I can't see hands. Is anybody raising their hand? I'm not, that's where I'm not educated on this thing. No? Okay.
No, if I see raised hands or comments in the chat box, I'll unmute myself and I will speak.
So you'll see those, Nikki, if somebody raises their hand, because I don't think I do. Okay. Yep. I don't want to miss anything. I really don't want to miss anything. I think that's anybody. I think that's the most important thing about a roundtable, is that everybody has the opportunity to discuss. So that was Audrey. Anybody else have anything? Somebody else just wrote they have the guidance.
Yeah, I see Ty Walker just posted something. Ty, you there?
Okay.
So Tyler mentioned that they're following the guidance of the school district, as the summer camps rely on permits to utilize the schools. And he is out in the western part of the state.
Okay, thank you.
Can you guys hear me?
There.
There, now we can hear you, yeah.
Yeah, I was sorry, I was learning. I have my phone on one end and then I have the chat pulled up. So we're following the guidance of the school district, and as a township, we're kind of working on a 2-week timetable. But you know, we're currently in a position where it's just me and one other individual in our office. So you know, the person that's in charge of summer camps is furloughed. So we're trying our best to kind of come up with a timetable and a plan of what any form or semblance of a summer camp would look like.
Exactly.
All right, well, this is Ken at West Goshen again. I'm just curious, has anyone made any kind of final decisions one way or another about camps? I kind of feel like I'm in a holding pattern until May, early May, seeing exactly what's going to come down, because I really don't know at this stage.
I remember our conversation on Friday when we were talking about programming and events. There was a young lady from, I believe, Chartiers Valley that had said they've canceled everything except for summer camp through June, which, again, I thought was a little odd. If you're going to cancel everything, why wouldn't camp not be involved? I'm speaking to that kind of as a father and a person in the industry that we're all talking about. Like, if you're going to cancel events, you want people being next to each other, why would you not do the same thing with camp? I'll be quite honest, I am not at all excited about sending my 7-year-old daughter to summer camp surrounded by people that I don't know, that I don't know what their backgrounds are. And I think there's a lot of people out there doing the same thing. Hey, it's our job. It's, you know, I'm planning as having camp if it was any other year. But at the same time, I'm being fairly realistic and saying, I don't believe it's going to happen. And once we hit the curve on this end, it's going to plateau, and then it's going to come back down the other side. So I just want to hear realistic opinions from people that work in the same industry as I do, to say, like, hey, like, what are your thoughts? What are your, like, again, we can talk about hypotheses and whatnot. It's fine. But at the same time, let's be realistic. We're not going to have camps. We're not going to have events for quite some time.
Maybe the individual that was speaking, maybe she has a license, maybe she's a state license, because like if you have a daycare right now, you can be open for essential personnel. We were considering it, to be honest with you, but we're part of the school district, so the governor closed all school districts, so we didn't even have to look very far. It was right in those regulations. That's the only way that I could perceive that somebody would really be looking at running it, like right now, that they know they're going to run summer camp, is if they have a state license and they have maybe a community that's full of first responders, a large hospital area. That's just my thought process. I did put the very first comment I put under the comment section was actually Silver Springs shared it last week in regards to the ACA, and Josh Green, who runs our camps, reminded me of that, so I put it on there so you can check that link section. The ACA has a really great analogy of trying to develop a camp right now, if we would start on time, if we wouldn't start on time, and all the things that you need to think about, your policies and procedures, maybe your ratios might be decreased this year because of what you're saying in regards to kids being put together. You know, you might only be able to have 10 kids together at one time, and how you're going to deal with that. I have not looked at the link in particular. I'm personally trying to feed 900 children per day. So, but Josh reminded me of it, so I put it on there. So I did quick glance at it before we got on this call, and they have had 3 video meetings that are posted on there. So I would think that that will be a good resource down the road.
Thank you, Tony.
I want to follow up with some feedback from the chat box as well. Michael Carlin from Manheim Township said that they're also waiting on the school district for playgrounds. Their camps are in their own facilities. They're playing it by year for now. Jane Delaney in Lower Providence Township, they're waiting until April 30th to see what the governor has to say. Melissa Cole from Blue Mountain Rec, summer day camp will reopen whenever the schools allow us to. Day camps are licensed by the state as child care programs, can reopen with a waiver. Jessica Tholey with Abington Township. So Abington Township, sorry, jumped down on me. Abington Township is closed until April 30th. they have pushed back the summer camp registration. And then Northampton Township is waiting to hear what the state says on April 30th as well. Jennifer agrees with what's being said. If parents are told to go back to work, summer camps will be needed. So if there's a way to conduct camp in some way, we owe it to the community, just in a safe and best interest of the community. A question that Tyler Walker said is, do other townships have a backup plan to think about service delivery in a different way? And also, there is a poll. So if you see a poll pop up, please answer it when you're available.
Thanks.
Well, Tyler, in answer to your question, we right now are looking at all possible alternatives in terms of if camp does open. We usually have, let's say, 10 counselors for 100 kids. Instead of putting, 100 kids with 10 counselors, do we break that park into 10 groups, each with one counselor overseeing 10 kids that don't interact with the other kids? Do we reduce the number of participants in the park? In which case, we probably would have to, sorry to say to you, Keith Karowski, but we would have to just limit it to West Goshen residents if we did that, and not accept anyone from outside the township. We may have to change the parks that we use. So we're still looking at all those possibilities. I don't know if anyone else is considering any programmatic changes to their camps if it does go.
This is Karen from Lower Providence Township. Jane and I just started talking about some options because most of our camps, with the exception of one, are in the schools. And if we're not allowed in the schools, what are we going to do? And if we can hold camp, we're looking at alternatives, maybe like at our firehouse or the ambulance center, or, having to move it outside to a park and adjust things. It's, camp's not going to be the same as it was in the years past. We've also have to look at how we train our staff too, with, how to sanitize stuff more, how to, make sure the kids are sanitized even more than what we do. It's going to take a lot with us and with a lot of training, but we also don't know when this is going to happen. Is it going to, are we going to get flushed in May and say, okay, yay, you can have it? Well, that leaves not a lot of time to prepare.
Right. Yeah.
And can I ask how, for the previous two callers, how have you guys looked at the concept of hiring? Were you already staffed? Are you conducting virtual interviews? What are you telling, a lot of your applicants at this point?
We have, this is Karen again, we have most of our staff hired. We still have a few applications that we were supposed to interview the end of March and April, and because our township building closed completely to the public, we've just told them we're going to reschedule. Jane and I actually started talking about possibly doing some Skype or conference call interviews, but we're kind of waiting a little bit to see, because we don't want to give false hope to the kids too, that if we do hire them, and we already have a bunch of staff, that if we don't have camp, they're going to have to look for other jobs and things. So we're kind of we're not sure. We're still talking about what we're going to be doing.
So real quick, Tanya again, just following up with Karen, I just had a conversation with Josh to speak personally to our staff and not send anything that's electronic, that's legal based, if you want to put that, and just make sure that they know we're in limbo and they're hired and they have a job. At least they know, that they have kind of like follow-up, touch base. I even said I'm willing to pay to start training, start doing the trainings now and pay them for that. And I know it could be money lost, but I would rather be in front of the curve than behind it.
Yeah, we've had our contracts signed by most of our staff, from our manager and stuff, that says, you're hired for the summer. we're just kind of not sure about a couple of the other positions that we have left at what we're going to do. We have some applications still coming in here and there.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an interesting time for all of us, I think. Because we also, I know what we talked about on Friday, or there was a mention of that provisional hire thing that had come out in the fall saying we can't do it, but now there might be a possibility that they may extend that because because we require background checks, and that's going to open up a whole nother floodgate.
The one thing I'd say about that, Karen, is PRPS did indicate to keep your eyes out this week. Hopefully you'll get an email, an action alert about contacts that we can make to try to help with that, getting that Act 47, I believe it's called, postponed until 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple other notes regarding hiring. Derek in Montgomery Township, they're doing virtual interviews. If camp is scaled back and staff is hired, they'll be very upfront about the possibility of not being able to hold camp. White Marsh Township, they're holding Zoom interviews, similar to Montgomery Township, keeping them in the loop about potentially not having camp. BK is the director of the Park Maintenance Institute. If anyone is looking at using DocuSign or something similar for their hiring paperwork. And a couple last comments just to throw them out there. Upper Dublin has completed their interviews. They'll be having 2 waves of hiring based on the decision made. Minimal staff by 4/15 and the rest of the staff by May 1st. Adobe Sign is something, HR is working with them to look into that. Quakertown Borough rehired all their counselors from last summer, and they're not filling empty positions until after April 30th. So they have a better idea of the number of campers they may have. And a lot of what I'm seeing is the feedback in the chat box, people are waiting to hear either from the state, their local boards of supervisors, or the school districts if they have camps within the schools as far as their camp decisions. So as Tug mentioned earlier, who knows what those timelines will be.
Can we go back to the HR questions that those 2 posed? Is anybody else dealing with HR with any type of IT help with DocuSign or anything like that?
No.
I just wanted to make sure we answered those questions if anybody had any input on that. Would anybody have the capability to consider that if they did know they were moving forward? Okay, just wanted to see if any input could be put on that. Has anybody started to work on any policies and procedures that could possibly be shared in regards to the health and safety of your employees as well as the children, either by research or talking with nurses or doctors, or I don't know if the American Camp Association, does anybody found anything out there so that you could be prepared?
That's a great question. I was going to ask if anyone has a COVID-19 action plan in place or is working on one, because I'm not even really sure where to start with it.
I agree.
Who is that was just speaking? I'm sorry.
Keith Borowski, Borough of Westchester.
Thank you. And Beth?
Yeah, I don't have anything yet either, and that was a thought off of Friday's call that I was like, oh, right. So anything that anybody's willing to share, I would gladly take.
So
I'd like to hear from,
even if you wanted to sanitize and clean your park, how would you order the supplies? Because they're on back order till whenever. Even if you wanted to clean things, it might not be easy to get the items.
Right.
And I think that's part of the policies and procedures is what materials you're actually going to utilize on a given day. And then they have to be put somewhere that they're cleaned after every day. But in regards to these policies and procedures. Nikki, is there anywhere that if we find out this information that all the individuals that are on this call would be able to find out? Would it be put in something, some document or something?
Yeah, we have so a few things. We have the COVID-19 resource page on the PRPS website. We're also working on a page that will host different programs, different other resources that are specifically related to programs, events, summer camps, stuff like that. I have the information from Friday's call. I didn't get to distribute yet. Hopefully I'll get that done today or tomorrow. So any of these resources, we will have them available. If you want to put your email in the chat box today, any of the information that we get, I know Melissa Cole just said she has received information from Octal on what the new standards for here look like, and she will be sending that to me. So if you forward that to you, please put your email in the chat box, and I will be able to distribute that to you. We'll also put it on the virtual roundtable resources page, document of the chat box discussion.
Thank you. That right there alone is one great reason that you all chimed in today, just to be able to put your email there, because that's going to be huge when, if and when anybody finds anything, if they can make sure they share it with PRPS, and then it'll go right back out when they can get it to us. It'll be huge. So if we can all be paying attention to NRPA, CDC, American Camping Association, all of these, I think we've got a very educated bunch right here that when you compile all that information and can get it together, we have enough smart people in Pennsylvania. I think that we'll be ahead of the curve and can lead some of the forefront, to be honest with you.
And we do try to update our COVID resource page daily. So any new information we get, we're trying to update, and we've been trying to work on a way to archive the old information so the page isn't so long and, clearing out some of the older information. So as you check, it may seem like a kind of long and dreadful long page right now, but we are working on updating that to make it clean and fresh and only have the information that our members need.
I'd be curious to hear from Melissa. You're going to send us information, but is there anything that maybe you could share with us now that might be helpful to know from the information you got?
Some of the things that I was reading, now we have the waiver to function, but we're not because the school district is closed. But some of the stuff that they've put in place right now is they've lowered the ratios to 10, as you mentioned. They're encouraging keeping your groups apart from each other. So maybe 2 different classrooms of 10 instead of one group with 20 kids and 2 staff members. They're checking temperatures when kids are coming in and out every day, checking staff temperatures every day, things like that.
Has anybody thought about if we are able to have camp that we may, I'm sorry, this is Audrey from Campbellboro, that the kids may have to wear masks. And I mean, my camp is outside, except for the cabin that we use on rainy days. And thinking about the heat for the summer, I'm just not sure how that's going to work with everyone wearing masks all day long at camp.
Good question. And also trying to keep a mask on a 7-year-old.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And having them not be touching them and taking them off, and who's and
and who swims.
I don't know if that's a realistic, expectation for little kids,
The other thing is how we're going to get enough masks.
Well, that's true too.
That's true.
That could be the craft of the first day of camp every day, every week.
Yes.
I'm going to start cutting my sheets now.
Oh, God bless.
Audrey, with your rainy day program, is your cabin set up so it can host smaller groups?
It's one big room, so if they have to be split up, to 10 kids per group, that's going to be really, really difficult. I mean, outside's not a problem because we have a whole park area, but putting all those kids in one cabin where we all share the same bathroom facilities, I just don't know.
That's
It's going to
my
be tough.
worry as well.
I'm sorry, Crystal, could you repeat that?
That's my worry as well. My camp kind of runs the same way. We're outside and then we come inside for a rainy day. But what do you do with all these kids if you have 300 kids in a gym?
Yeah, and I was thinking about craft supplies. You know, we're going to have, everybody has to have their own pair of scissors. They can't share scissors. They can't share crayons. I just don't know how realistic this is going to be. I mean, I don't know.
Especially when you're dealing with, what, 5 to 7-year-olds.
Right.
Yeah.
It's going to be difficult.
And again, like Karen said, it's already April. So for this to all come about and then have to figure it all out by the end of school, it causes me to lose sleep.
Yeah.
No, totally. And also, excuse me, but again, I'm getting emails daily from our borough manager, the borough council, how much money, like the borough of Westchester, we're very, very reliant upon university and parking and fees. And so it's all gone.
Mm-hmm.
So asking for more money at this point for Parks and Rec is pretty much out of the question. So like Audrey said, if you're looking for, again, every kid has their, you start the camp year with, here's your own scissors, here's your own box of crayons, here's this. That's most likely not going to happen.
And that's even just, this is Karen again, that's just even at the site. How many of us do field trips, go on buses, things like that, so that's a whole nother, thing to think of too.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And that's, Karen, where I'm at, is because I don't know what I want to commit to as far as booking my trips and reserving my busing and that kind of thing, and money that, will I be able to get it back or not?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Going back to the other issue of everyone having their own scissors and masks and thing, I mean, honestly, if it comes to that, we'll make that a requirement that the parent provides for their kid when they come to camp.
Right.
Send them in with a lunchbox or whatever, their name on it that has their crayons, their scissors, and all their own supplies, so that's not something that we're trying to chase down.
Who is this speaking?
I'm sorry, this is Mike Roshino from Whitpain Township.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That's a good idea. We have a list of things they have to bring every day anyway, so.
I was also wondering, I knew when I ran a camp, we went swimming every week, and there's sunscreen and insect repellent, and who's going to put all that stuff on 5 and 6 year olds and things?
Yeah, normally we put it on the children who need help. Good point.
There is
there's a lot of things that are going to be you're going to need to think through, and that's, maybe we could start compiling a list somehow.
That's what I was going to say, like a Google Doc or something that people could just add. I mean, the amount of stuff I've just written down that everyone's listed, I'm like, oh, I didn't think about that. Is there a way to start something that people could add to, just so everyone has those same list of questions or lists of things to consider?
Yeah, Beth, I've really looked at, there's a lot of resources, in the for-profit world too. Even looking at how, the food service industry or Walmart, I mean, how they're communicating with the public that they're serving. It's really unique to see some of those steps, but we also have to think about, do we have those same resources and financial abilities to really act, in accordance with the best health of those we're serving? And the other question is, and I think it was brought up by Westchester, was the point of the optics are not good either. So what we have to consider, yes, there's a population that has to send their children to care. Those are the ones we're going to primarily be targeting. Are those the ones that are going to have the ability to buy your scissors, to buy all your resources? And then the parents that might have a little more privilege not to put their kids in camp, will they have a thirst to get them out of the house, or will they keep them inside this summer? So I think looking at your budget lines and trying to prep all that is something that is really difficult, I think, for all of us.
Yeah. And also, is it worth putting, a wish list on a website of just, hey, in case we have camp or something, that these are the donations we're looking for. I don't know if that's even worth it, because at this time people are giving donations to things that are life and death as opposed to crayons. So I don't know how to tread there.
A couple of things, just I've not been able to keep up 100% with the chat box, but Kelsey from Carlisle mentioned that they've paused enrollment for summer camp programs, or summer camp and summer programs, but they're going to reopen when it permits. But they're thinking about the parents who actually need the summer care. So parents who can utilize it. We don't always like to admit, but some people use our summer camps for childcare. And, you know, there are times when the consideration and how are they, you know, the concerns around the CDC and having enough staff. Also, Melissa shared another great link that we'll make sure is available to the group. And BK recommended maybe utilizing or disinfecting tools after each use, and reaching out to local restaurant supply chains to get to get sanitizer. I'm reading, Jane said, deadline to say if camps were happening or not. A lot of people have said basically that they're either waiting for the state to make a decision at the end of the month, they're looking towards their local officials, or if they utilize schools to see what the schools are saying. I wanted to mention, if someone wants to work with PRPS, we'd be more than happy to make a Google Doc available for everyone. We can post it on the website, we can make it available, and we'd be happy to put that together. Anything, again, that we can help, we definitely want to make that available. So if anyone wants to email me, my email address is the word tour@prps.org. We can make that happen.
So the Google Docs would be on the website, Nikki?
Yep, we can make the link available on the website. We can actually do an email to everyone who gave the email address on this group as well. Start working from.
Nikki, I have no problem helping you out, so let me know what I can do to help.
Okay.
Beth, could you help organize the tabs on that?
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, the tabs that you would consider high priority?
Sure.
That would be great if you could do that for Nikki.
Yep.
Thank you. Also, BK on the chat group, this is maybe even helpful to you right now as a parent, and it says outdoor bleach is slightly more concentrated than household bleach, but often you can be found in the local hardware store and used as a disinfectant. The CDC suggests a diluted solution of 1/3 cup to a gallon of water. So 1/3 cup to a gallon of water. BK wrote that to everybody. So that's a good thing to know right now as we're running low on detergents.
And if there's anyone's comment or question that we missed, please just ask again. When the emails were coming through, it was going kind of fast, so I didn't get a chance to catch everyone. So if we missed something, let us know.
I
put our
good sir. Good, Dan.
Okay, real quick, I put our email addresses for Nikki and myself under our names on the video there. So if you want to just send out your ideas to either one of us, that'd be great, and we'll compile that list and get it up and started.
My question was, I don't think it was touched on yet, but, and I'll be the first to admit that I'm in this situation. The financial situations, if camp happens. Again, my wife is, she's essential in one of her jobs and non-essential in another. Are you revisiting or thinking about anything more about your financial aid situations to the people that are coming to your camp? Are you lessening restrictions, making them more or less? I'll be, like I said, I'm the first to admit that, again, we're losing about somewhere between $800 to $1,000 a month with my wife not being able to do her secondary job. So are you gonna, again, hopefully things go well and camp's gonna happen. Has anyone even thought about that yet? I mean, I have myself, just because I'm in that situation, but I'm just asking the group.
And to further ask another financial question. What if there is a spike? We start summer, everything looks good, but then all of a sudden there's a spike. We have to close down. Have people thought about what their refund policies may be? Or if a kid does get sick in camp, do we refund them for the rest of camp, or do we just say, sorry, you're out of luck?
That's a great question, Ken.
It is a good question.
That can be in Google Docs. Beth can get, excuse me, can add that to the, to the table. But we have a scholarship fund program, and I would think that we are going to, oh boy, sorry, my dogs just ran out. That we are going to probably provide less funding because we're going to have to give to more people. We haven't discussed that yet, but we're at least have a scholarship fund. I don't know how some people are going to do it, but I know Amy, our administrative assistant, is calling people right now and saying, do you want us to take out your week? Like, people are on weekly and bi-weekly payments right now, and we are giving them the option whether they want to pay or not pay, which is probably not real smart on our part. We might have to be refunding a lot of money if camp does get closed, but I would rather provide that service to the parents that want to divvy up their cost, just throwing it out there, just what we're doing.
No, we do the same thing. We have a quote unquote send a kid to camp fund. And we basically just say the camp costs $1,000. We might take, depending on the situation, $800, $700, $600 off the camp price. So we don't actually ask for that money up front. We're just eliminating that portion of their payments ahead of time. So they know coming in, hey, my child is only going to pay $400 for the entire summer as compared to someone who can fully pay $1,000. That's mainly because I was chastised by my finance department a couple of years back when they had to write 200 checks to refund people for different issues. So yeah, I totally understand. Again, coming from my personal perspective and everything we've discussed, and again, I'm just speaking out loud, I'm not sending my kid to camp. Like, we're going to do everything we can within and I am a Parks and Rec professional for 22 years now. I'm not sending my kid to camp if there's still a chance that she could get sick or ill. We're going to work it out and do whatever we can. And I know that sounds harsh, and I apologize, but this is terrifying. This is something the world's never seen, and I'm not going to put my child at risk. And I believe that there are a lot of other people out there that are thinking the same thing. So even if we're given the go-ahead, she's not going to camp this year. I just, again, from your personal perspective, I see a lot of moms, a lot of dads out there, same thing. It's what we're all going through right now. It's terrifying.
Somebody wrote they came in late to the meeting and they wanted to know if we discussed the deadline to use if camps were happening or not. Dan, what did that survey come back at?
38% said next month would be the month they make that decision. A few on either side of that for April and later, but the later was not much from what I remember. 86%, excuse me, said would make the decision in May.
Okay.
38 respondents. April was 7 and later was 7.
Okay.
She also had a good question. Will schools even be issuing work permits at this point in time? If schools are closed and you need to get work permits for your staff, how is that being handled?
Our school is still doing them. It's on the front page of our website.
That's a good question. I know that our aquatic supervisor got that question, and I have not found out whether or not the school district, I know the counseling office can be reached. So my guess is if the counseling office can be reached, that they're still giving them out as well.
Nikki, I don't know if you'd be able to speak. I know I might have missed this part, so I apologize if I'm reiterating something that was already previously discussed. But with the fingerprinting, I mean, we haven't officially been told that the provisional hiring is going to be like that provisional hiring ban and all that. I mean, we haven't really been officially told that's been pushed back, correct?
Correct. We are waiting for some final information, and there should be a statement released some point this week, we hope. The latest I heard is that there's a potential for the timing of that to be pushed to 2021. And that's primarily because, you know, people in offices aren't working. There's not the ability to actually conduct the fingerprinting with the COVID-19 issue. So at this point, Tim and the Governmental Affairs Committee is working on a statement, which keep an eye in the scoop or an email from PRPS. That information should be out some point this week.
I can speak to that. We have a webinar, a free webinar on Tuesday, May 5th at 1 o'clock, which is specifically on the new laws and how they affect childcare. And we have the attorney is Jeffrey Beecham from Delaware Valley Trust, and he'll be speaking on the effects of these laws on the rec and anyone who provides childcare. So that's Tuesday, the 5th of May, 1 o'clock. It's a free webinar, so you can sign up for it.
Thanks, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that came on late to the meeting, we did ask everyone to put their email address in the comments section so PRPS could communicate with you. And we are going to follow through with the Google Docs and to look on the website on PRPS for updated information on COVID-19, since I saw some people are still.
A couple of questions that we're just getting in the chat box. Is anyone looking at offering anything like summer camp virtually?
Oh my Lord.
I know we had a lot of great, on our call on Friday, the amount of virtual, whether it's fitness or craft related or even health and mental wellness programming has been going on has been incredible. But what about summer camp virtually?
Talk about causing me to lose sleep. Lord.
I thought that was an interesting question.
It's a very interesting question.
Sorry, that's it's Jennifer Feen from Northampton Township. That's my question. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to add more stress. But I've been going down like 56 different roads, and that's one of my roads. We have a large staff. I don't know what it is compared to everybody else, but we have 6 or 7 camps, 120 staff. Obviously, if we can't have camp, I wouldn't be able to keep them all. But if we're all stuck in this at-home situation, I was trying to think of different things that maybe our counselors could go on and do on this platform or a Facebook Live or something like that, just to provide some programming to the kids so that they can see their faces. Obviously, there's not going to be a whole lot of kickball going on, but I just thought, you know, I was just wondering if anybody else was thinking that way. And I'm sorry if you're losing sleep.
No, it's okay.
A great idea. This is Christy from Silver Spring. I was just wondering too, like, you know, the schools are going through this, the teachers are going through this right now. They're trying to figure out ways to, you know, talk to their kids virtually on their laptops. And obviously it's a little bit different for us. We would have to rely on our staff really to be working the hours we want them to work on, like a Zoom. I think it could happen, but we would really have to make some modifications on like what we would teach, because we would need like a set curriculum almost of like, here are the activities we're doing every single day at these times, and then have like a set number of employees that would be like going live with the kids. So it could definitely be a challenge.
Yeah, this is Tyler. I think that's a great point. You know, there's a lot of different challenges there. I think in particular, with your staff, I mean, I can speak to ours. Our part-time staff are all furloughed. So we can't allow a staff member that might be collecting unemployment to go on a virtual adventure with our children, because then that could affect with their unemployment. So there's a lot of questions there for us. I also will be curious, and I know none of us have the answer, but it will be very interesting to see what the school districts do, because I think a couple schools here in Pennsylvania have already said that they're going to keep the kids through the end of June because they have to get as many days in as possible through June 30th. Now that will be virtual most likely, but what will that handoff look like? Because summer camps, we take the kids in the summer, but during the the school year, it's the school. So it'll be very interesting to see what that transition looks like in terms of keeping kids active and engaged should this extend.
That's interesting because they lifted the 180-day rule.
That's what I saw.
And I know I'm in my kids are in Central Buck School District, and then I work in Council Rock School District, and both of them are set their graduation date and they're not moving, so they're getting out the same time.
Yeah,
that's what I saw too. Mm-hmm.
All right, another question. Go ahead.
Sorry, this is Mike with South Whitehall. I was just wondering, has anybody thought about if you made the decision to not hold camp in June, have you thought about telling your community, maybe after July 4th or, postponing the start of summer camp and doing an abbreviated summer camp at all? Maybe change.
Not a bad idea.
That's a good idea.
We would absolutely do that if that's the realm of the world that we live in. If they would say it's safe, we'll be all in.
Yep.
I can definitely add 3 weeks, take it off the front end and put it on the back end of summer for when we start ours.
Can't do that.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
The only problem that I'd have with that is that my camp counselors are college kids. So they would be needing to leave for college, hopefully mid-August. The other thing is, I'm not sure how many of you actually are involved with ActiveNet using that. I'm sorry, I'm Audrey from Campbell Borough. I keep forgetting. But ActiveNet has said that they're not, if you've already been given your money, I don't know how many of you get paid up front, you can't be giving refunds through credit card. So now we have to issue checks for anyone, issue checks or put money back on their accounts. And I'm not sure how many people are actually going to want money put back on their ActiveNet account. They're probably going to want their money back. Right. So I've already warned the borough manager that, hey, we're going to have a lot of checks to cut if we have to start giving out refunds. And if we don't have camp in the beginning of the summer and we have it only a certain amount of weeks, all those parents who are in the beginning of the summer, they may want camp at the middle, but it's already filled. So this is going to really be a challenge. Yeah.
Yeah. Good point.
Audrey, just so you know, we also have ActiveNet here. We are dealing with the same issue as we've given out more money than we've brought in over the past month. So you can, I don't know where your borough stands on this, but you can issue a wire transfer to ActiveNet that essentially pays it up front, and then you can continue to issue by credit card, just so you know. That is an option.
Thank you.
I can shoot my email in the chat. If you want to chat after, I'd be happy to kind of go through the process with you.
That would be great. Thanks, Tyler.
Which, Nikki, between me and you, from these two going back and forth, it might be good to have an ActiveNet section, because I know I've gotten so many emails from them. I am just forwarding them to my administrative assistant, and I know that she's figuring them out. But if there's any way we could do something like that, I think it would be beneficial to a lot of us.
We can. One of the questions that we'll get to, and we only have about 10 more minutes left in this roundtable today, but a question would be, do you want to do another roundtable regarding summer camp? We can schedule, and I'm going to ask Dan to put out a quick poll, so you can let us know if you want to do that again and when. We did that on Friday for the program and events one, and we were able to get one scheduled, and we'll be sending that information out. But also, if like ActiveNet, because I know many people used it, I've used it in the past, let us know what topics those are. We can schedule various rounds. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out there's background conversation that I'm trying to avoid. If there's other ideas, let us know. We can do multiple tables whenever they're needed over various topics.
Do you want that septic stuff?
So hold on one second.
Make sure we can keep tissue.
Okay, I'm sorry. I muted everyone for the time being to get rid of the background noise. So if you choose to speak, please unmute yourself. But again, if there's any topics that you want us to have a roundtable about or any training that you're looking for you or your staff, please let us know. We can provide that. Or if we can't, we can work with someone to make sure that we can get you that training. We do have some other questions in the chat box right now. Tug and Ken, I just unmuted you both. Ken, I'm trying to unmute you. And oh, there you go. You are now unmuted. Some of the questions in the chat box is, are anyone still taking new registrations at this point? If you are, you can either shake your head like Audrey is, or you can unmute yourself at this point. I may need to unmute you. So let me know in the chat box.
Yeah, this is Audrey again. Yes, we're still taking registration because I think that the council doesn't want to worry people right now, and they wanted to know that we hope that things are going to get back to normal. So to try to keep it positive, we are still accepting registrations. I haven't been told not to.
Great. I see Upper Dublin is, they've received a few, no one's asked them to cancel.
Northampton is.
Great, thank you.
We are too. Center Region still is.
Fantastic.
Lower Providence is, we're kind of maxed out. We only have a couple spots left, but no one's really asked us for refunds or cancellations yet.
Great. Mike Curlin, their playground registration doesn't open until May. Conshohocken Borough is, but they haven't received any new registrations since. So yeah, it looks like the majority of people who are responding are, oh, Mike, you are in Manheim Township. Yeah, so most people are, so that's fantastic. So thank you for all the feedback. Again, we will share all the chat responses. You can unmute yourself if you want to speak up, but at this point, do we have any other questions that we haven't touched upon? What I'm seeing at this point is people are saying near the end of the month or beginning of May would be another good time to have summer camp roundtable. So we can definitely do that. And we can schedule one. Tyler, thank you. I'll reach out to you regarding ActiveNet, and we'll talk about doing an ActiveNet specific roundtable. If other providers that people use, we can do that with the other providers as well. I know some people have switched from ActiveNet to other people, so please let me know. But in the meantime, do we have other questions, comments, feedback?
Nikki, it's Mike from Whitpain again.
Oh, yes, sure.
This has been great. First of all, thank you for putting this together, and to Ken and Tug for leading it. But there's definitely a lot of overlap between this and the programming roundtable we did last week. So I think if you just stagger them, so you're doing one every week, but that topic specific every other week would probably more than fit everyone's needs, and it would give time for new information to roll out.
We are trying to do the program event and summer camp separately. Yes, I agree. And I will try to do them far enough apart. So thank you for that feedback. And we're hoping, I think we hit a lot of the same people on this one because we have a large number on this as well. So I do appreciate that feedback. If the timing ever doesn't work for people, please let me know. And yes, there will be another Zoom meeting on pools. I believe we just scheduled that. I'm trying to pull up my calendar right now to look to see if I can tell you. The next aquatic one is Tuesday, April 21st at 10:15. So that's the next aquatics roundtable. We have one on therapeutic recreation tomorrow at 12:30. We have ones coming up on urban recreation. Again, if there's any other ones we can do, please let us know, or any other training. We have the spring into series coming up, and some other fall planning. So anything else, Tug and Ken, for the good of the order? Oh, I do see we have one more question.
Yeah, I was trying to read that.
If any townships or boroughs make a decision about their camp plans, is there a way to share those decisions with the group? Yes. We are working on creating a page about what different agencies in the states are doing, or in the state. One example we have on the COVID page is what different locations are doing as far as opening and closing of their parks and facilities. So we can definitely add this when it comes to summer camps, whether they're closing, postponing. So Beth and I will work on the Google Doc and make that available. And then we'll make sure that access link is on the COVID page, but we'll also make it available on the virtual roundtable page as well. Tug, Ken, anything else? Anybody else before we sign off?
I don't have anything. I just want to thank everybody for jumping on here. And I wish you well and your family well, and stay healthy. And I think if we work together as a community of Pennsylvania, with Beth on Google Docs and our staff at PRPS doing what they're doing and getting the information on the website and in the scoop, is only going to be very beneficial to us to know that you're not out there by yourself, but that we're like a team and we can conquer this.
I want to thank everyone also for participating, and hopefully in a few weeks we'll have a better sense of how things are looking, and then we can maybe share some more definitive ideas with one another.
Yes, thank you.
And I do want to just quick share the poll results. 23% of you said weekly for the roundtable, 79% said 2 weeks, and no one said not necessary, which really says something.
That's what we like to hear. It makes us feel good. But thank you for joining us. And we hope to see you in person very soon. We hope you all stay happy and healthy and sane. And please reach out to us if you need anything. And we will get this information out to you as soon as we can. And thank you and have a great day.